heels up and shout.
We're seeing why the Buffalo Bills are en route to the playoffs.
Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout.
The Buffalo Bills go undefeated. And we're going to the Super Bowl.
Right now, baby. Come on, come on.
No one
Come on
circles the
and
wagon
shout.
like the Buffalo Bills.
All right, we are live, and we are back. Listen, welcome to another episode of the Overdue Bills podcast. And listen, we are excited. We told y'all that, every week we was going to have a special guest from the opponent, from the opposite team. And we definitely have a special guest with us today. You see, I'm solo dolo, yours truly, Preach. We had a little, technical difficulties with our guy, Matt. Matt was supposed to be on, so hopefully everything is all good with Matt. But we got to move on. The show must goes on. And, we have from the Locked On Texans podcast, our guy, Tone. Tone, what's up with you?
What's going on, everybody? Super excited to join you on today's show, Preach, the Overdue Bills. Man, we was talking a little bit. And I love that name, so I can't wait to talk about some of my overdue bills, man.
Absolutely, because we all got them. We definitely all got them. But listen, we're excited for the show today. And before we really get into the show, let me let you know who our presenting sponsor is, who is Buffalo Wing Kings. We're brought to you by Buffalo Wing Kings. Being from Buffalo, there's two things the guys here on the pod know at the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Wing Kings, our first choice and the best choice in Buffalo. At Wing Kings, they have 101 flavors. 101 flavors. Listen, that's amazing. They're opening up a new location by the University District on Main Street. And listen, let me tell y'all this. When you get there, let them know the Overdue Bills podcast sent you, because you can get 10% off your order. Stop by their Elmwood Village location at 484 Elmwood Avenue or give them a call at 716-248-1427 and find out why they say, and we know, they have the best wings in town, hands down. So shout out to Buffalo Wing Kings. The price of wings has gone up in Buffalo, so please drop that Overdue Bills. When you get there, 10% off. All right. So let's get to the show. And you know how we started. Quick question of the day. Tone, I got to ask you, man. I got to ask you this. I asked you before, before we got on, I said, is it okay to ask about this? So I'm going to ask this quick question of the day. How do you feel about this Deshaun Watson situation? Do you believe that the team should kind of cut bait and trade him? Right now, or like, how do you feel about it?
No, don't trade him now.
Okay.
Don't trade him right now at all. Listen, so I'm a huge Patriot fan.
Right.
Despite what I cover, I'm a huge Patriot fan. And I love where the Buffalo Bills are right now as a franchise. But overall, the AFC East, we know about them, right? We know that Miami just lost Tua again,
right,
to another injury. And moving forward, no matter what Brian Flores may believe or whatever he may say, it doesn't seem like that's the feel throughout the entire franchise.
Right.
Feels like Stephen Ross has something to say. Feels like Brian Flores may not be on the same page. So I look at Miami at the end of the year, they're going to reevaluate what they have on their roster at quarterback, and they may be more desperate. Same thing in Philly. Jalen Hurts had a very good game one, but has tailed off and dropped that big game against Dallas, and he didn't have a very good performance. So at the end of the year, Philly may be in a more desperate situation. I would even say maybe Denver, even though Teddy Bridgewater and them boys are rolling. I still feel like maybe Chicago looks at that situation and say, we screwed up in 2017.
Absolutely.
We still may want to go get them, right? Despite whatever they may have going on with Justin Fields, Matt Nagy, and that complete mess of a show they have going on in Chicago.
Right.
So there are teams out there that I believe once the 17 games are over, they don't make it to the playoffs, they're going to reevaluate their roster at quarterback and say, well, you know what? Let's see where that situation is right now legally. And if he's able and cleared to play, then Houston will get back what they want to get back. And that's a huge overhaul for Deshaun Watson.
All right.
So as of right now, I'm not making a trade for him. $10.5 million compared to 30 next year. That's a slap on the wrist. We got to move on from him before next season, of course. But as of right now, let him sit, let the league and some of these teams fall out of playoff contention because of their quarterback play, and then we're gonna strike when the iron is hot.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm in lockstep with you. I guess I'm in locked on with you, I should say. I honestly believe that Deshaun Watson, he's just too talented of a player to kind of just cut bait and, cut your losses right now and just let the chips fall where they may, wherever the situation may be, prayers to everybody involved. But at the same time, it's a business, it's a football. You know what I'm saying? So let the chips fall where they may in that situation. I'm going to be honest. I think in 2019, we played y'all in the playoffs. And, we weren't necessarily so happy, or at least some people on the show wasn't necessarily so happy about Josh Allen. And we definitely, when that whole Deshaun Watson thing, we was definitely kicking the tires. But, last year, Josh, showed us that he is a franchise quarterback. We just paid him. We locked him up. So, we can move on from that. But obviously the world is kind of interested. It's kind of been quiet. Nobody's really been saying anything, but it's just something to talk about. But definitely appreciate your answer on that. And before I ask this next question, I got to let the people know to please support the show, OverdueBillsPod.com, OverdueBillsPod.com. We got merch. You see the hat I got on. We got hoodies. We got T-shirts, crew necks, the whole
I
nine.
get one of those hats. I want one of them hats, man.
Yo, Tone, we got you. We listen. Two of our people, they got the post office down on lock. You know what I mean? So we can send it. We can next day it. We can definitely next day it. So we got you, Tone,
I need
for
one
sure.
of them hats.
I got you. We got you. But listen. So let's get into this game. But before we do, because you do have a player that the Buffalo Bills is very familiar with. He happens to be injured at this current moment, and his name is Tyrod Taylor. We're familiar with. He was a starting quarterback here. So let me ask you this, because the first game of the season, Tyrod looked good. And actually, that second game, he was pretty serviceable. So let me ask you this. How does the Houston Texans fan base feel about Tyrod Taylor? Is he better than like a stopgap, or is he just, okay, let's just get over the hill and see what we could do, next year with the first – well, we'll see what pick y'all have. But how do y'all feel about Tyrod Taylor?
Right now, I think Tyrod Taylor, the thought around the city is if we had Tyrod Taylor in the first 3 games of the season, we'd be 3-0 right now.
Wow.
And I mean, if you go back, the Panther game is questionable, but you go back to Cleveland, we were up 14-7.
Right.
He had an amazing couple of drives. Ran one in, threw one in, and I just thought we was at a place where defensively we were playing good. That offensive line is protecting him very well. He got chemistry with the wide receivers. The running back game isn't good at all, but he's able to pick up yards with his legs, which helps with that.
Right.
So a lot of people feel like we'd be 3-0 right now. Now, as far as Tyrod after this season, but I really think that depends on what they prioritize in next year's draft. And the progression or lack thereof of Davis Mills, who we drafted in the 3rd round this year.
Right.
Now, I'm on record by saying I don't see franchise quarterbacks in this draft. I don't.
Okay.
Before the season in college, they gave me Spencer Rattler. Didn't see it last year. They gave me Sam Howell. I didn't see it. So I believe Houston could be in a situation where they may wait a year to actually go draft a franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Tyrod Taylor can come back. If he comes back, if his job is still there from Davis Mills and perform to where Houston looks at him like, okay, maybe we can bring him back for one more year and see how that works out. But I think overall, just like he was for you guys, he is going to be a stop bridge gap quarterback. That's just what he is. He did that in Buffalo. And I think his departure in Buffalo was unjust to him. There's no way I'm ever starting Nathan Peterman over Tyrod Taylor.
Never.
Just get that out of the way. I'm actually glad I'm here. There's no way I would have allowed the worst quarterback I've seen outside of Brock Osweiler to play over Tyrod Taylor.
That's great.
But he did it in Cleveland. He did it in LA. So he's going to do it in Houston. It really just depends on what they're going to get back. The Deshaun Watson trade, how they feel about next year's quarterbacks, and if Davis Mills can be the answer for a couple of years at quarterback for Houston.
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Like, when I look at your team, obviously, you kind of went into a tailspin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess you had to, do something on the fly because nobody's seen well, I wouldn't say nobody, but maybe the general public didn't see the Deshaun Watson situation going or happening. And that happens with front office. And y'all were having, some issues even before that, you know what I'm saying, with the front office and the head coach I had to let go and the whole nine. So let me ask you this just real quickly before we get into some matchups. How do y'all feel about David Culley? Like, is it more so of a wait and see, or is like, okay, I see, because like from my perspective, I thought the Houston Texans was going to be like god awful, right, coming into the season. Like, y'all had all that turmoil, y'all got Tyrod, starting. Y'all really don't have a lot of weapons. We're gonna talk about Brandon Cooks in a minute, but like at this and y'all running back situation, it's all over the place. But like, how do y'all feel about him? Because it seems to me like he's kind of, I don't want to say righting the ship, but he's keeping everybody together. Like, y'all a very competitive team. Y'all play hard for him. How do you feel about Culley?
Right now, how I feel, and a lot of people here in the media or just the fans, they do feel a breath of fresh air.
Wow.
There's a couple of things Culley did that I would say as today. He admitted on camera when he was wrong a couple of times.
Right.
That's one thing that we would have never gotten out of Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien would stick to his guns idiotically at times. Just, you're wrong, but he's not going to admit that.
Right.
With David Culley, he's admitted that. And I think a lot of fans are happy to see that. But we're still in purgatory on how we really feel. Like, in the middle of whether he can really be the coach of the future, because he signed a 4-year deal, 4 to 5 year deal, one of those.
Yeah.
And a lot of people still may feel like he's just a pawn, which that's unfair to him. But a lot of folks are in the middle right now. I think overall we are still in that beginner phase of not having Bill O'Brien as our quarterback. As our head coach anymore. Mm-hmm. And as long as he was here, he done some good things, but the last 2 years of Bill O'Brien were insufferable. And now that he's gone, it's somebody that we can kind of at least talk to, and he's a little bit more open, and the way he approaches the game is different. Allow his coaches to actually coach and not handcuff coaches or players. Fans are loving that right now. Now, after a while, you're going to need some wins. After a while, the excuses run out, and we don't want to hear it anymore.
Right. It's interesting. I mean, it's a lot of different coaching changes. Me personally, as far as David Culley, like, I think he's doing a decent job. I mean,
I think so too.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, at some point, it's like, you have the players that you have. It's not like it's just a wealth of talent. But right. Yet and still, you know what I mean? They're playing hard for him, and that's really all you can ask for a coach. So you guys, what's up?
Yeah, I do want to say the expectations for David Culley realistically should be very low.
Absolutely.
You're not going to have Deshaun Watson feel like everything Bill O'Brien for you to be mad at him about for all those years. Deshaun Watson, J.J. Hopkins, Andre Johnson. You had Dwayne Brown for a couple of years. You and Romeo were able to put together some comparable defenses. He had a lot to really look at and say, well, here, do something with it.
Right.
As far as David Culley, hey, we need you to come in and make sure you put on a PPE suit, your hazmat suit. It's a lot of mess to clean up right now. It stinks in here. Right. Okay? Come on, help him clean in. And then I look at this year as a cleanup year. The next year, we can really start the evaluation process of whether or not he should be here after year 3.
Absolutely. And again, like we said, that remains to be seen. But interestingly enough, we do have a game, the Buffalo Bills against the Houston Texans. You definitely were excited about this game. And we're really going to look at some matchups. Talk about some, strengths and weaknesses of each opponent team, how you feel about it. So I really want to start here because the past 2 games, right? I had Cleveland and you had the Carolina Panthers, and obviously Cleveland has a formidable rushing attack. You know what I'm saying? They got that 2-headed monster over there. And also, you look at Carolina, even though who was it? Chuba Hubbard Chuba Hubbard. When he came into the game, but so let me ask you this: the Buffalo Bills were not necessarily known for our rushing, right? We're not necessarily known for our rushing. So, what do you think that the Texans can do against a formidable Josh Allen passing attack, right? Do you think that the scheme for y'all is to kind of just sit back there, in that zone coverage? He had trouble with it, when we played the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, how do you feel as though that the defense is going to attack? What do you think Lovey is going to cook up back there?
I think Lovey's we're still gonna stay in that zone defense, but I expect to see more of our will linebacker, which is Zach Cunningham, to be added to that front four to create pressure, right? And with that Tampa 2, that zone, the cover 2 zone, you really want to create pressure from your front fours up front,
right?
Your front guys up front. And I think our interior defensive lineman has done a good job. I expect to see them continuously grow throughout the weeks. I think our DNs can do a better job of creating pressure. Shout out to Jacob Martin. He's playing at the talent level. He's always been playing while he's been in Houston, just getting more snaps. But I can see Zach Cunningham being used primarily as a blitzer this week. I think that, you have the opportunity. Listen, man, like, you guys have weapons. And I think Cole Beasley is an X factor for y'all. Like, once he's going, I can count that as a win for you guys offensively.
Absolutely.
But Mr. Unvaccinated himself.
I know.
But I think we need to get pressure after Josh Allen, and I believe that in doing so, we will see some blitz packages, some zone blitz packages that'll cause some problems for Josh Allen. If it does, Josh Allen right now is playing amazing.
Yeah. He's definitely back to form. People, our listeners, I had kind of went off on Josh Allen. Hopefully he listened. Maybe I lit a fire under him because he wasn't playing good necessarily in his first 2 games. But I think that's very interesting, right? Because at the end of the day, I know Pittsburgh, the reason why we lost to them is because of their front four. Now, granted, they have an elite front four, right?
Exactly.
T.J. Watt, Melvin Ingram, Hayward. It's an elite front four. And our offensive line they just played like as if they were outmatched. And it's kind of funny. I don't know. We can move on. I don't have to ask about Shaq Lawson. Y'all traded him. But I was
and Shaq didn't give us anything.
Nothing.
I mean, it was one play in the preseason where it's like, Shaq, they ain't really, you're not solidified yet on this roster.
Right.
Come on and do something now. You were a former first-round pick. And Shaq came out there, stood straight up, and tapped his hands a little bit, and they didn't do nothing else.
I know. Shout out to Shaq. That's one of my brothers. That's one of his best friends. So no disrespect to Shaq. We love you. But but yeah. So let me ask y'all this. Right, you have David Mills as a quarterback, right? And that gives limitations within itself. And the Buffalo Bills, our defense we've been playing very, 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 very well. So do you think that it's really I'm actually a few questions about the offense, but the first one I want to ask is, as far as David Mills, he locks in on Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks get double-digit targets. It's insane. And I believe that, we have an all-pro in a Tre'Davious White. Do you think that the offense is kind of they're going to shift? Because I'm sure he's going to have a lot of Brandon Cooks this game, right? They've been moving him a little bit within the defense to kind of shadow certain people. But do you think that your offense will still stick with that approach to just kind of, heavily target him? Or I believe, isn't Amendola coming back? Is he going to be a kind of a help, for your offense?
Oh, Beasley-esque.
Yeah.
So Brandon Cooks, you're right. He's going to get a lot of those targets. That's simply because he's the most dominant receiver on this depth chart right now. He's the one that can create separation. He's been playing for Houston since last year. I think, as a matter of fact, now that I look at it, he's the only receiver returning from last year.
Wow.
So Houston went out and traded for Anthony Miller, who I'm expecting to actually fill that void of what you guys have in Cole Beasley at that slot position.
I like Anthony Miller.
Chris Conley has been underperforming as a receiver. Nico Collins will be out now. I want to say maybe 3 more games with a shoulder injury. And going into the season, a lot of people had high expectations for Nico Collins. Rightfully so. I mean, he flashed it throughout the preseason. He flashed it in a couple of games during the regular season before he got hurt. But as of right now, outside of Brandon Cooks, I'm looking at Anthony Miller. Use him in the passing game at that slot position. Maybe he can be maybe a 5 reception, 50 to 60 yard kind of guy right now for Houston.
Right.
He's athletic, he's speedy, he has great footwork. So put him in a position where he can win one-on-one battles, then that'll allow him to expand on what he can do athletically. I also have a call to attention to the tight end group. You know, when a young quarterback, I always look at the tight end groups like, okay, what are you going to do to make his job easier? It can be the smallest detail of, a chip block. Mm-hmm. Your front four is pretty good. So chip block before you go out to your route, whether you run it in the flats, maybe a curl route, whatever it is, help that offensive line out. Which in the end, help your quarterback out, he can find you. So as a unit, I'm looking at the tight end group, and outside of Brandon Cooks, Anthony Miller, those two guys, Miller and the tight end group has to step up.
I think it's definitely going to be interesting because as far as our secondary is concerned, like T. White is amazing. We have great safeties, and we've been playing really well. But I think that's going to decide the game, so to speak. Like if the Texans is going to kind of stay in it, with the Buffalo Bills, because it's crazy. I'm not going to lie. Like when I seen it, we're going to do some over-unders in a little bit, talk about the game to see how you feel about it as far as the over-unders is concerned. But when the line first came out, it was 17.5. Like, I was like, yo. I was at work. I was talking to a coworker, and I looked. I was like, he was like, what is, what the line is? I was like, let me look. I said, oh my God, it was 17.5. How did y'all feel about that? Do you think that that's like legit bulletin board material? Like, do you think the players are kind of like rally behind that?
They can rally behind it all they want to, man. Right. But here's some facts real quick, man. Okay, y'all lost to the Steelers. They had a great front four, right? But they also had Big Ben, who's been in the league, who didn't play well, but he's been in the league for what, 16, 17 years now, whatever the case is. Then y'all go to Buffalo. Then y'all go to Miami. That's a second-year quarterback.
Right.
Then y'all go to play Washington. That's a second-year quarterback.
Right.
So y'all have done damage to these young quarterbacks in the league. 35-0 Miami, and then Tua gets hurt in that game. 43-21 Washington. 35 points, 18 points. I don't see why 17 is too much right now. The Bills, they just caught hot at the right time. I think so. They caught hot. And they can use it. They can have it posted up in the locker room and tap it every time they walk out and say, this won't be us. Burn it after every practice or whatever ritual they want to do. The fact of the matter is the Buffalo Bills team is a team that went into the season with an MVP candidate, a team that a lot of people expect to go to the AFC, at least in the AFC conference game, and are a dominant football team. We can't be disrespected or mad at the fact that people expect for them to whoop our ass. That's just what it is, because they have the players to do so.
No, right, and that's right. Like, I like being honest. Like, and I'm listen. I keep it a buck. And I hope the Buffalo Bills players are not looking at it this way. But like, we have Tennessee and the Chiefs. They're coming up, or rather, the Chiefs and Tennessee coming up, which is kind of like a real, two big AFC, divisional. I mean, not the divisional, but conference games. And it's kind of a look ahead, right? At least I know, like, the most fans like to talk is, like, this is somewhat of a bye week. And the reason being is obviously having David Mills. What I think is going to happen is, because our defense, like, we're kind of blitz heavy. We love a cornerback blitz. Like we love a cornerback blitz. And looking at that Panthers game, like, getting pressure on David Mills is the key, obviously, with any quarterback, but especially, a very, 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 very young quarterback, a very inexperienced quarterback. And I think that's what we're going to kind of do. Like, our front four didn't necessarily get a lot of pressure last game. I was kind of disappointed. But I know this game, like, we're going to send those blitzes at him. He's going to see Milano in his face. Hopefully he sees, a Rousseau, a Jerry Hughes. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he's like, I know for a fact, probably the first series, I'm sure we're going to send a Tre'Davious White blitz. Like, I know it. Like, I know Leslie Frazier is going to send a T. White. Just go at him. Just run as fast as you can and light him up. So, I think that's what we're counting on, like, the mistakes. We've been winning the turnover battle. So, it's definitely interesting. Like, when I see 17.5, it is tough because y'all lost to the Panthers by 15. into Cleveland by only 10 points, right? And granted, y'all had Tyrod Taylor for a lot of that game, but even still, it's not. I think y'all play a little bit harder than that, so I'm not gonna lie. I took the plus 17.5 for Houston, so hopefully Houston don't disappoint me. Hopefully the Bills can beat it by like 16, and I can cover. But
Couple touchdowns.
Yeah. We'll see. But let's do this because we do a little segment here on expectations versus reality. And before we do this segment, I need to let the people know who sponsors this segment. It is none other than Buffalo Pet Supply. Do you have a pet? Are you looking into getting a pet? Or know someone who has a pet? And there's only one place to send them for everything to make that pet live, and it's Buffalo Pet Supply. Specializing in fish, small animals, and reptiles, the knowledgeable staff at Buffalo Pet Supply can get you set up or maintain whatever setup you have. Stop down and see the family-owned operated staff located at 1345 Military Road in Kenmore, or give them a call at 716-874-1951. And also this week, Overdue Bills pod listeners, listen, the good people at Buffalo Pet Supply are giving away a free male beta fish with any purchase when you mention the show. And then you can get a 10% off. And you can get 10% off. So when you go to Buffalo Pet Supply, please mention the Overdue Bills podcast. And they're going to give you a fish with any purchase and 10% off that purchase. So shout out to Buffalo Pet Supply, where they believe that your expectation is their reality. All right, so let's get into this expectation versus reality. So, what is your expectation on the game? Right? How like going into a Houston Texans fan, how do you feel like this game is going to go?
I think Houston will be in a position where they backs maybe against the wall kind of early.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're in that position, naturally you throw more. So they'll have a lot of more opportunities to evaluate what Davis Mills as a quarterback and his arm and his accuracy and his progressions and everything that comes with being a quarterback in the NFL. They're having opportunity to get a better doses of that this game. I also expect, like I mentioned on it, earlier, that defensively in our defensive unit, our defense has been playing a whole lot better than what we saw last year.
Right.
Right. And at one point, remember, we brought in David Culley, but Leslie Frazier was also a candidate here in Houston. We talked about that on our show yesterday, but then we went with Culley, which prompted the Lovie Smith hire. And Lovie Smith has done a very good job on the emphasis of turnovers and getting after the quarterback and kind of a bend don't break style of defense right now for Houston. So I think we still get a doses of that. But my expectation and my reality of what Josh Allen is a big, strong arm quarterback that has Stephon Diggs to run everything over the top. He has Cole Beasley to run everything through the middle. And he has his legs to do everything else. And I don't think Houston has a formula right now to stop him. Honestly, I don't think a lot of teams do. But Houston doesn't have a real formula to beat that right now. I also think that our running game will continue to struggle against the Buffalo Bills. They're going to try some different things. Maybe they coach some players. I'm not going to name any names, even though I already have this week. They're going to coach players to hit the hole and stop dancing so much. Lindsay, go ahead and say his name. And it may look better, but I just think we are going up against a team that, even dating back to last year, the last 3 games of the year, Denver Broncos, y'all beat them by almost 30. The Patriots, y'all beat us by almost 29. Then Miami, y'all beat us by 30. Y'all beat the Miami Dolphins, by 30 points. And all 3 of those teams have struggling young quarterbacks. They picked it up where they left off from this year. I just think this Buffalo Bills team is strong, man. And honestly, my expectation and my reality go hand in hand that they win this game pretty handily.
I think I'm definitely in lockstep, or like we said earlier, definitely locked on, with you, Tone. you know what? I guess this game is. I want to see the defense kind of just step up a little bit more in the sense of I just want to see if we can get a pass rush and fluster, a David Mills like we're supposed to do, right? Like I know the offense is going to be fine, right? We're going to go. We might. I mean, we've been going a lot of 11 personnel. So I'm sure we're gonna do that. I'm sure we're gonna try to run the ball. But at the same time, I know Josh Allen is gonna do what he has to do. I know he's gonna throw the ball all over the field. I mean, so I'm not necessarily worried about the offense at all. But I want to see the defense step up and make some plays. Like get the crowd into it. Like you know what I'm saying. I want to see our first round pick and a Gregory Rousseau on the end. Like get to the quarterback. Like I kind of like it's a game for us to see like these players. And I don't want to necessarily call it a stat game to disrespect any of the players, on the Texans, but like this is those games where you can kind of pad them and go after it and do what you need to do. So I do expect the Bills to win big. We're the
I like
better.
Russo, by the way. I'm sorry to cut you off. I like Russo. He got 2 sacks in the season already, young player. I like him. And I like Addison as well, the end position.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. Like that's who I'm looking at. I'm looking at Gregory Rousseau, and I'm also looking at our offensive line. We are getting a little bit better, but I want us to be sure, right? We were really good last year. I need us to be sure. I need us to be communicating on all cylinders. I want that to be sure because, like, the season necessarily doesn't get easier, and where we're trying to go to the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? These are games that we need to, show that we're the team. Like we are the team to do that. And it's funny that you said it because I was looking this up. I was gonna ask you some quick question of the day, but the last time the Texans came to Orchard Park, last time the Texans came to the Bill Stadium, Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback, like for the Buffalo Bills, which is funny. Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback, and I looked at the game, and it's crazy. The Bills we pulled off the victory 30-21. We put off the victory 30-21, and I kind of looked at that. So hopefully the game is not that close. Maybe we will win by 15 points, or but we'll see. We'll see. So that is definitely my expectation. Hopefully the reality is, a big win for the Bills. But I do want to ask you some over and unders. Appreciate your time. We're gonna wind down the show, but I do want to ask you some over and unders about the game. And I'm gonna start with your quarterback, David Mills. I'm gonna start with him. Over or under 211 passing yards. Over or under?
Over.
Over. Oh God.
Over.
Okay.
Over.
Okay. How do you why do you say that?
I think, like I mentioned, I think the team, they're back against the wall early in the game. I could see Houston getting down to a 10-0 deficit. And I think at that point, the run game ain't going to be working like it ain't been working. And they're going to put the ball in that young man's hands. And he's going to find Brandon Cooks. He's going to find Anthony Miller. He's going to find Akins and Farrell Brown. He's going to find some of these players. And I believe that our receiving core, which isn't one of the most dominant in the league, I feel like they can still make some plays with their legs. And then we got to, look at how they're going to use the running backs in the passing game as well. I think that's what Houston wants to emphasize going into the season.
Okay. Over or under 2 turnovers from David Mills, or just the Texans offense in general? So that could be a fumble or an interception. Do you think over or under 2 turnovers? 2 turnovers.
Over.
Wow, really?
Over.
We're not necessarily a heavy turnover team. We're not a heavy turnover team, but we can get some turnover. But you think that it'll be? I know last week game against Washington, we definitely got some turnover. Taylor Heinicke, he was just throwing the ball all over the place. But I thought David Mills can kind of protect the ball. No, am I missing something?
Well, I mean, okay, he hasn't. If you look at his preseason, I think he threw 4 interceptions in the preseason, and so. Still a young quarterback. He's going to make young quarterback plays, and I expect the defense led by Leslie Frazier to capitalize on that.
Right.
And, you guys made Taylor Heinicke throw a couple of interceptions. Y'all made Jacoby Brissett throw an interception. You also got a couple of fumbles as well. So overall, I do think that it'll be over 2 turnovers total.
That's interesting. So let me ask you this about the Bills offense. Let me hear how you feel about your defense. Over under 2.5 passing touchdowns by Josh Allen.
Over.
Whoa, it's gonna be a day, baby.
Over.
So their secondary is just you're just saying like it's a no go.
No, it's not that. It's
Okay.
I like our secondary compared to last year. I think guys are in better situations to where they can capitalize on their strengths. But again, I think Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Cole Beasley. I think that's a tough unit to beat out. Dawson Knox is going to get involved. Emmanuel Sanders is going to get involved.
Right.
You never know what those two guys are going to do on a weekly basis, but they get involved. So yeah, I just think it's too much right now. That offense is built around and for Josh Allen.
Right. I can see 3 touchdowns easy. Like I can
Easily.
I can see 3 touchdowns easy. I think we're gonna come out guns blazing. We're definitely gonna try to put the Texans down early. Like we don't want the game to linger. So I think you're gonna see if we get the ball first play of the game, it might be a bingo type of play. I think we're gonna try to go for the fences, but that remains to be seen. I definitely appreciate you, Tone. I'm definitely gonna ask your prediction on the game. I want to hear your score. We have to do that because everybody, we have our contest going on here at the Overdue Bills podcast, and we need you. You have a chance to win a $30 gift card to Buffalo Wing Kings. We give it, $30 gift card to Buffalo Wing Kings. And on our show earlier this week, our guy Mills said if anybody can predict the score right, he will add another $30, and that's $60. Listen. We living in the money. We living in the money. So Mills, he's agreed to that, and I'm holding his feet to the fire. If anybody can predict the score right, so we need you to predict the score right of the Houston Texans and the Buffalo Bills games, and we need you to then share the post. All right, if you go on our Facebook page, you'll see it, or go on our Instagram, you'll see it. We need you to put the prediction in the comments, and we just need you to share that post. All right, and if you do not predict the score correctly, we need you to predict, I think, the total number of yards. I believe the total number of passing yards by the Buffalo Bills. So definitely put that in there because we haven't had a prediction right, since we've been doing this contest. So please put the total number of passing yards in there. All right, so Tone, give me your prediction of this game.
35-17, which is right over that 17 and a half. I think 35-17, Houston gets down big, gets down early, and they fight back. They make some plays, but overall, Josh Allen and them boys, hey, man, we had a guest on early this week, and he said we may end up seeing Mitch Trubisky, the other 2017 quarterback.
Right.
So, who looked good in preseason, by the way, for you guys? I will say that.
Absolutely.
I think 35-17.
I like that. Even though I did take the plus 17.5 in Houston Texans, I shouldn't have. I honestly have the score 46-16. I mean, that's not true. 42-16. 42. I think we're just gonna throw it, man. Like I honestly think we're gonna score. We're gonna score early and score in bunches. Josh Allen's gonna have a big day, and I can see us. I really do see us putting up 42 points. And I see, like, at the end of the game, I really think it's going to be 42-10 for a lot of the game. And then y'all probably going to maybe sneak maybe 2 field goals or maybe get a touchdown, maybe 42-17. It depends on how that goes in the fourth quarter because we're probably going to lay off. But I do see this as a big scoring day. I definitely see if you're out there, you might want to play the over on the game. I think the Bills may cover the over by themselves. But that's neither here nor there. But Tone, listen, we definitely appreciate you coming on the Overdue Bills podcast, but we need you to let the people know where the people can get all of your content and where they can, see you and on your podcast. Can you let the people know that?
Absolutely. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Texans. More importantly, take them same 2 fingers, go over to YouTube, subscribe to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube, like, comment, share, the whole 9, man. Just show us some love over on Locked On Texans on YouTube and on Twitter. Now, preach, man. Before I leave, I got a couple questions of my own, man.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to ask you.
Hey, let me know. What's up?
First and foremost, Houston ain't too far from Austin. And there's been rumors circulating that Buffalo may be leaving. And Austin, Austin is a growing city. Got UT, I got everything going on. And Austin is probably the most, how would I put, liberal, hippie type of town.
That is hippie.
In the state of Texas. Y'all leaving, man? What's going on? Y'all ain't renewing them bills? Y'all overdoing bills? What's up?
Let me address this. And this is to the Pegula family and the Pegula Sports. That's who our owner is. I was just talking about this Sunday. To be honest, the way it is looking is that our ownership, they really don't want to be here long term. I'm not really sure why. Because I think we have one of the best fan bases in football, and really in sports, period. We're a rabid fan base, and we suffered so much for the Bills. Like, we had in the early 90s, 4 Super Bowls, which is still torture. People say it like that's a good thing, but we went to 4 Super Bowls and we lost. That's not good. That was terrible. But anyways, to answer your question, Austin is becoming a great city. They say that Silicon Valley everybody's moving there during the pandemic. I don't know what's going on. It's a liberal place. Texas governor really doesn't care about a lot of things. That's the conversation for another day. But but to answer, I really don't know. We were supposed to be trying to build a stadium in the city, like the actual city of Buffalo, because it's kind of in a suburb. Like Orchard Park is a suburb of Buffalo. But apparently it's been some issues, man. They don't want to move it to the city, and the owner, he's getting a little antsy. So I don't know, but I'll say this: if Pegula does do it, I'll never talk to him again, even though I don't talk to him now. Dirt on his name. I think the Bills. Honest to God, I would never root for the Bills ever in my life again if they do that move.
Would you just find another team to root for?
Absolutely. I will have to find another team. I wouldn't. If the Bills move from Buffalo, I'm going on record. Preach will never root for the Bills again. It's over. How would you feel?
Okay, so I'll put it like this. People expected me to go to Tampa when Brady left. I said no. The reason why I'm a Patriot fan in the first place is Corey Dillon.
Gotcha.
So I've been, and they just waiting for me to. Even if you go look at my Abby on Twitter at some sports guy, I got a Bucks jersey on, but I was repping Mike Evans, who's from Texas. So I'm like,
right.
I'm repping for them, but I'm not leaving my franchise, man. I feel like I'm the biggest fan I am of any team is the Rockets, and I went through so much with the Rockets. I mean, so much with the Rockets.
I hear you.
And every year I come back. It's a toxic relationship, but I can't leave them.
The thing about it is, with you being where you're from, and you grew up in Houston, right? Like born and raised, the whole nine. So I mean, it's like, especially even it being in Texas, it's like y'all have so many other things, and y'all have multiple sports franchises. That's like, Dallas. It's not like it's a hop, skip, and a jump. You know what I'm saying? It's not like y'all have a lot going on down there. So my issue about it is, like, for Buffalo, this is all we have, right? This is all we have. And we've been down, well, besides the Buffalo Sabres, no disrespect, but this is the Buffalo Bills is really kind of all we have. And we've been down, we've never, ever, even with Houston, y'all had glory days. You had Hakeem Olajuwon. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. We never won the big one, and we've been down. And not to mention, people don't understand this. The Buffalo Bills used to be in the heart of Buffalo. The heart. They have a city. I mean, they have a stadium. The stadium's still at the old rock pile. They have the old rock pile. And we used to be in the city, the Buffalo Bills, and they moved. They moved to Orchard Park. They took it from the people. When I say the people, you know what I mean? The people. Shout out to all the fans we have, but from us. And they already did this. I tell people they already moved. So if they do it again, I'm done. I'm done. So I can't put that on my heart. I can't.
Yeah.
I've already been there, man.
That's the real passion of a fan talk right there, man. And to your point, man, I think Buffalo. The way the Buffalo Bills fans, I mean, the Mick Foley antics they do, jumping off of trucks on the tables and the wrestling and everything that comes with being a Buffalo Bill fan, I think that speaks to their franchise in its own unique way.
Right.
Right. You guys are putting pain on your body.
The whole
And then go watching the Bills and putting pain on your heart. I don't know how y'all do it, but y'all do it. I would hate for Buffalo to take away from you guys.
The fans is crazy. Shout out to Pinto Ron. We had him. We did an interview in the early season. Shout out to Pinto Ron. This guy, I mean, he's been a fan since, I don't know, probably twice of my life. You know what I mean? Combined. Pinto Ron, every game pours mustard and ketchup all over him. Like it's just like it's insane. Like what we do for the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to the chefs. We had the chefs on for the interview. I mean, they throw this big tailgate party and they cook for like hundreds of people. DJ out there. I mean, it's like the tailgating is amazing. Like, and that's the thing, the camaraderie we have within the fans. It's no color, it's no creed, it's just the game.
Bills.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the amazing part. And losing that, it would just be too much, man. It would be too much on the hurt. But
I may be losing the Buffalo Bills, which I really don't hope don't happen. I gotta talk to you about Griselda.
Okay, we can do that. Shout out.
Just real quick, man. Because I don't know if you see me. I gotta get my haircut.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
Bit, but
me too. Yeah.
Conway, Benny the Butcher.
Shout out Benny.
Of course, you got West Side Gun.
For sure.
They walk in the studio first. Who you asking for the verse?
Ooh, you just wilded out on me.
All three walk in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, you working on a project? You need a verse. And I'm from Houston, and I look at those three just like this. I think Conway is the superior rapper. I think Benny is the superior song maker.
Okay.
I think West Side Gun has one of the most superior ears for production in rap right now. So this is me on the outside looking in, coming from Houston. Who you asking for the verse first?
I'm gonna keep it a stack. And shout out to We Think It's a Sports Show podcast. We talk about this ad nauseum, but I'm asking Benny the Butcher first. I'm asking Benny the Butcher. Shout out 10 and Ave. And the reason why I love Kanye. I think Conway. Lord have mercy. I think Conway is good, right? But and this is no disrespect to Conway. It's just sometimes just his voice kind of, for me, it kind of like it can get in the way for me, because like it's just you kind of like sometimes you focus on it a little bit too much. So Kanye, I mean Conway, I do like him. Westside, shout out to Westside Fly God Project in 2016. That's my favorite project from him. I think he's a visionary. He said it himself. He's not necessarily a rapper.
That's a perfect description.
I mean, that's what he calls. He's a visionary. He's a mover and shaker. He moves the chess pieces, and that's what he's great at. And I love that about him. Shout out to the store he has, at our Galleria Mall. But for me, Benny the Butcher, man, it's the bars, man, and it's the griminess of it. Like I remember my oldest brother telling me about. Shout out to Benny. His name used to be 2 Chainz Beanie Man. It used to be that like long time ago, and I remember him since I was like, yay high. And for me, like to see the growth that Benny got, like Benny is like he killing like the joint he just dropped with Drake, and like 10 to Talk 3 and like Plugs I Met is just fire. Who you taking? I know I'm bringing it. Shout out to Plugs I Met though. Who you taking? So I'm putting your feet to the fire.
Real quick, because the Plugs I Met, man, I had been listening to Benny before that. But when the Plugs I Met came around, because I was like bits and pieces. Okay, this is Benny the Butcher. I was like, let me go ahead and listen to for a project. Then Plugs I Met came out, and him and Black Thoughts got busy. They got busy on Crown for Kings. I would probably. This is really tough. So it wouldn't be West Side Gun.
I'm with you on that.
It wouldn't be West Side Gun because I as great as West Side Gun is for production, he's not what I would go for like one that I would be looking for. I would probably roll with Conway. I'll tell you why. There's been Conway verses that made me say, well, whoever he on features or whatever, I feel like some of those verses made some rappers go rewrite. And I think Benny has that same type of effect.
Right.
But there's been some verses where I was like, Conway is let me run this back again. Let me run his verse back again. There's been times where you could have taken the feature off and played Conway's verse, and that'd have been okay.
Right. And that's the thing. And I will say that about Conway. Like, he is a person that you have to listen to multiple times, because on the surface, like when I listen to him first, it's like, it was okay. But like, then it's like, okay, but yo, take another listen at it. And it's like, all right, I got you, bro. Like you spitting. Like, he can definitely spit. But like for me, like and I think like kind of, I don't want to say younger generation, but like, my age range and like the people who I grew up, like we Benny all the way. We love all of them, but we definitely Benny all the way. Shout out to Benny, man. Listen, we had this guy, Chef Darian Bryant. He definitely a friend of the show. Conway, actually, he has a huge tailgate party. He got the suite, the Buffalo Bills Stadium, and this guy, Chef Darian Bryant, he was on the show. He's actually the chef for the whole event, man. It's crazy, man. Like, it's crazy. So shout out Conway putting on for the city. Shout out to Buffalo Bills, allowing, somebody from the inner city, that they necessarily wouldn't, to get that look. Right. Like, it's crazy look, man. It's a crazy look. But we definitely appreciate all that. Anything else?
I love Griselda, right? No, I really want to talk about that move and the hip hop aspect. I mean, I think hip hop and NFL can go hand in hand. Absolutely. Because of the athletes. Those athletes love, hip hop and the lifestyle and the culture of it. So I believe it goes hand in hand. And they're on record, especially Benny. They love Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills. Absolutely. So I figured you got to ask about the possibility of them leaving.
Absolutely.
I had to talk about Griselda. That was my number one on the list. Was talking about Griselda.
No, I appreciate it. I definitely, especially from somebody down south. Y'all down south people, y'all get Hey. I ain't gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. But the music,
we love what we love.
Is it is what it is. But definitely shout out to Griselda, man. Shout out to the man. Absolutely. But listen, we definitely appreciate you, Tone. Shout out to the Locked On Texans podcast. Please go check that out. And listen, we got the merch going, overduebillspod.com, overduebillspod.com. All you got to do is go on the website. We just got the pack from Hefe. Listen, we got the merch. Listen, it's being stitched up. Listen, we doing it all. You see the hats. We got polos. We got hoodies. We definitely about to send Tone a hat for sure. We about to overnight it. Definitely about to overnight it. But listen, we appreciate y'all, and we end every show with a little bit of hey, 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 hey. Let's go, Buffalo.